What's up, guys? Eli here, back for another film review. Today we're going to be talking about The Eyes of My Mother. So, The Eyes of My Mother was released in 2016, directed by Nicholas Pesky. I think that's how you pronounce it, I could be wrong. This was his feature-length debut, actually, and he would go on to direct one of the Grudge sequels back in 2020. So here you have a young child named Francisca living in a rural area with her mother and father. You know, the mom is a stern yet fairly attentive Portuguese immigrant who works as a surgeon specializing in eyes. Her father seems cold and distant and really basically emotionless. Mom teaches Francisca surgical techniques, mostly practicing on animal heads. One day while the dad is at work, a man named Charlie is walking down the road and stops to talk to Francisca. Mom comes out to intervene as, any parent would. Charlie asks if he can use the bathroom. He looks fairly well kept, well spoken, and he seems friendly, and I actually thought he was a missionary of some sort at first. So the mom brings him inside and he makes, general small talk. She isn't particularly interested in that and tells him where the bathroom is. He asks for her to walk him there, starting to get a little weird. Red flags go up and she asks him to leave. This upsets Charlie and he pulls out a gun and insists that she walks him to the bathroom. She does, and when they get there, he brings her in with him and shuts the door. A minute or so later, the dad comes home and Francisca tells him that something is wrong. He walks over to the bathroom and opens the door, only to find Charlie bludgeoning his wife repeatedly with his pistol. You don't see a ton here, but it is incredibly disturbing, and that really sets the tone for the rest of this movie. The dad was able to knock Charlie out, and has Francisca help him drag him out to their barn where he chains him up. He doesn't call the police or anything, he just leaves him there. And what I found most disturbing was that he really had little to no emotion at all. While doing all this, he didn't seem to care that his wife was murdered, he just kind of needed to deal with the problem. I feel like I should add that Francisca's probably 6 or 7 years old, and her parents, look like they were in their late 50s, maybe early 60s. And that kind of goes with the theme of this movie, which is that everything is just kind of off, not quite right. And I should also mention that this was shot in black and white, which adds to the cold, kind of suffocating tone. There's no emotion in this entire fucking movie, just oppression, pain, and loneliness. So I won't go any further here, as that would kind of take away, some of the impact, I would think, should you plan on watching this for yourself. After the whole mom getting murdered incident, it jumps forward roughly, it doesn't say, but I'd say maybe 15 or 20 years, and Francisca is now a young woman living in the house by herself. She's completely emotionally damaged and has severe abandonment issues from losing the only two people in her life at such a young age. She does have one friend, but I won't spoil that for you, because you really need to see it for yourself. So Francisca is now very much a tortured soul, simply just existing because she doesn't know how else to live. She has no family, she has no neighbors, and suffers from the side effects of long-term isolation and solitude. She is simply the product of her childhood. If I were to guess, I'd say this movie was influenced by the stories of Ed Gein, with the story of a very traumatic childhood and its, long-term effects, and also Jeffrey Dahmer with the themes of loneliness, abandonment, and the inability to not be able to connect with anybody. I didn't know what to expect with this one, to be honest. It was a blind buy, and I knew absolutely nothing about it going in. It really is an amazing first effort for Nicholas Pesky, and I can't wait to see what he does next. He definitely deserves better than sequels to The Grudge. This really is shot beautifully with some really impressive cinematography, and this very much has an art house vibe that I appreciated. And though I chose not to reveal too much of the story here, I will say that this is one of the most disturbing movies I have ever seen. I mean, this is on par with stuff like the French film Martyrs. Not something you will likely want to rewatch, and I think I appreciated it more once it was over. It was just so intense and suffocating, and you feel like you need a break from it by like the 30-minute mark. That said, it's well paced, and it's just a well done film in general. This one will stick with you. So I'm giving The Eyes of My Mother an 8.5 out of 10. It's a tough watch, but overall a very good film, and I'd recommend it to seasoned horror fans and not for the faint of heart. Hell, I've seen some people say this isn't even a horror movie and just a disturbing psychological one, but I digress.